Hi there, I'm Gord and I love wood turning. And I owe a really big thanks to Terry Hurst of the Central Alberta Woodturners Guild. Last month he demonstrated how to use alcohol inks to color some wood. So I picked up a few colors and I did a test on this piece. It was really just a piece of junk wood, but I liked how it turned out so much that I'm going to keep it just to remind myself what the first one was like. It's got a great big huge crack in it. It was just going to go in the burn barrel, but I'm going to keep that one. So now if you'd like to stick around, I'll show you how I went about this and try to do it on a good bowl. Hi there. I'm starting off with a maple blank. It's rough cut around the edge, so I'll just chew that up on the lathe. I'm using my center finder to find the center of this. It's a little over 10 inches in diameter. So I'll just make sure that the 10-inch line is inside all the way around. Find the center. We'll just hold the scratch all on there. And I think I can actually go with 10 1/4 here. Just barely. So take this around here, just to give me an idea what I'm working with. Now I'll be able to use my centering jig for my faceplate to put that on here. So I'll put that on, then I'll take it over to the lathe. Hope you'll join me over there. Alright, that's trued up well enough to keep it balanced. Now I'm going to start working on the bottom of the bowl. I want to use these particular jaws in a recess. The diameter of these jaws is 3 3/8 of an inch. Half of that is 1 11/16. So I've set my divider to that. I made a mark with a pencil on the exact center. I'm putting the the right arm into that spot. Now I'll turn this on at 500 RPM and just scribe with this arm. I've got my tool rest slightly higher than center so that this isn't facing up and tending to dig in. And I will make that mark. Now I'm just going to use my parting tool just to define that. And now I will use my 3/8 inch bowl gouge and a square inch scraper to clean this out. And that fits in there great. All right, now I'll start shaping the bottom and clean this up a bit better. Whoa, that knot flew right out of there. I guess this has given me one of those design opportunities. Now I could leave that in there, go for a natural look, but I really don't want it. So I'm going to go with a very large cove from here, make this a little narrower up here than I was going to want it to be. And I'll probably end up with a deeper bowl that way. So let's see what this does. Some of these pieces are coming off of here real sharp and real hot. I think I'm going to find a glove of some kind to carry on. Now I don't want you to think I'm just showing off, but I'm using one of my oh so fancy work gloves to protect my hand. Just about got this down enough. Alright, it's just about thin enough up here. Got a little bit of filling I want to do with this knot here. I'm going to sharpen my gouge just a little bit for a final finishing cut. Because this knot was already dark, I used some walnut sanding dust to fill it. Put some thin CA glue in it, let it set for a few minutes, and then I just went over it with some 120 grit sandpaper to see how it turned out. It looks like it's going to be just fine. Now I've taken my diamond sanding card and honed up the edge of my gouge a little bit, and I want to see now if I can do a real good finishing cut on here. Just a very fine one. There's a little bit of chipping right here, so I've got to do enough to get that out of there. Oh, that's much nicer. Gonna need a little sanding, of course, but that's come out pretty darn nice. I want to try to true up this edge a little bit better here. Well, I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out. I've got it signed, dated, and the species identified. My logo coin is in. And I've put 5 coats of Minwax Wipe-On Poly. Got a nice sheen to it. And now it's time to reverse this into the chuck jaws using the recess. I have some chipping around the outside here. Not too severe, but it does have to be taken off. I think I need to take off about 1/16 of an inch. And to do that, I'm going to use my 3/8 inch bowl gouge. When I come in here and make contact with that wood, I have to be sure that the flute is closed, which is to say straight up and down when you look across the sides of the flute. If I open it up a little bit and touch that, it could easily skate across that finished surface, and I might tend to say some bad words out loud. So I'm going to be turning this at 1000 RPM and try to just gently take those chips away. I'm not too concerned with the center part. It's going to be turned away anyway. I'll try to touch that up a little better, and I will sand the whole thing before I start the coloring. A little bit more gentle work needed here, and then I should be able to sand this. All right, I'm just going to sand this and I'll be right back. Now I have 4 colors. I am not going to use the pitch black, but I'm going to start with red pepper. I'm also going to use turquoise and sunshine yellow. Now the first one I'm going to use is the red. And I'm just going to put it on a piece of paper towel and then spread it across the surface. And the theory is that the sanding sealer that's on here will keep it from bleeding off to the side into the areas that have been left without color, and just have wipe-on poly on them. And when I do this, I'm sweeping out past the edge. I don't want to come in from the edge because I think it might just discolor, or rather add color to it. And after this is all colored with the red, I'll give it a few minutes to dry. It shouldn't take long. It's alcohol that's being gassed off, so it shouldn't take very long at all. And then I'll go on to the next color. Now the red has had time enough to dry, so I'm going to carry on with the turquoise. Now this is an alcohol ink going on to an alcohol ink. So if I was to put this on here and sweep it across, it would smear this. What I want to do is just blot it on in spots. And if I do not like the effect I get, it's thick enough that I can actually turn this away and start over again if that's necessary. I think in that area I did a little too much there. It's lightened it up. I'm just going to let it dry again, and then I'll carry on with the yellow. Now the blue should be dry enough. I'll carry on doing this with the yellow. Don't want to get too much. I'm not trying to overdo it here, just trying to add a little more color. Right, give that a little drying time. I'll be back for the next step. Now the final step for coloring this is just to take this bottle, this little mister, and that's isopropyl alcohol in there. I want to spray that on there very lightly to try to get the colors to just meld a little bit. And I don't want to overdo it. I don't want this running, be drippy looking. So just a very light mist. Now I'm going to just let that dry for a while. Now that this is dry, my next step is going to be putting wipe-on poly on here. And because it's water soluble and this is alcohol based, I'm pretty sure it's not going to smear it. So that's what I'll do next. I'll put a few coats on there, and then I'm going to hollow out the inside of the bowl, put poly in there, and it'll be finished. Alright, now to put on the wipe-on poly. I'm using these applicator cloths as I usually do. 100 RPM. Not worried about getting in the center since that's going to be turned out as there anyway. Kind of making those colors pop a bit. So I'm going to let this dry for a couple of hours, at least an hour. The first coat doesn't take too long, and then I'll be back to do more, and I'll come back to show you after it's all finished. I have put 2 coats of wipe-on poly on just to protect the paint a little bit. Now I want to hollow out the bowl. And I'll be using my 3/8 inch bowl gouge again, once again having the flute closed. Just start out here just past these screw holes. I think I like those proportions, the size of the rim to the bowl, so now I just need to hollow this out. I just want to hone this edge up a little bit. Alright, I'm ready to sand in there, and one important thing will be to keep the sandpaper off of this finished surface, which is part of the reason I put that poly on there, just to protect it if I should slip with the sandpaper. Shouldn't happen, but I like to try to be safe when possible. So I'll sand this up, put the finish on, and I'll be back. And there's the finished product. I'm very pleased with how this turned out. As you can see, it's quite a bit darker than this one. When I did this first one, I sanded the red back a little bit. This one, I left it pretty much intact and then added the other colors. I'm very pleased with both of them, and I hope that this gave you some idea on how to do this. Maybe you can try it yourself. I'd love to see pictures of it if you do. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll come back next time. Have yourself a great day in your shop and be safe. If you like this, click the like button, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye now.